Let me ask you something. How many hours did you waste today? How many of them are you going to get back? Silence. Exactly. You wake up. You stay at your phone for 20 minutes before even getting out of bed. You tell yourself you will start the day soon. But first, a scroll through Instagram. Then TikTok. Then YouTube Shorts. Just 5 more minutes. Right? Wrong. Because 5 minutes turn into an hour. And an hour turns into a whole morning. And before you know it, the day is gone. You're not lazy. You're not useless. You're just stuck. And nobody talks about how loud that silence is. When you know you should be doing something with your life, but you don't even know where to start. So you distract yourself. You numb the discomfort with noise, with scrolling, with "I'll do it later." But later never comes. And deep down, you feel it. That quiet panic in your chest. That whisper in your mind saying, you're falling behind. Maybe you've said things like, I'll get serious tomorrow. I'll start that side hustle next week. I'll hit the gym once I'm less tired. I'll fix my sleep when things calm down. But life doesn't calm down. And tomorrow is a lie we tell ourselves so we can feel better about wasting today. The truth. You've got dreams. You've got things you were meant to do. But right now, you're watching your own life from the outside, like a stranger, disconnected, unmotivated, unrecognizable. And maybe you're thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get it together? There's nothing wrong with you. You've just been hypnotized by comfort, by distractions, by the illusion that you have time. Let me hit you with this. Time is not patient. Time doesn't care if you're not ready. It doesn't slow down while you figure things out. It just keeps moving. And every single day you spend doing nothing is a day you could have used to change your life. The scariest part? Most people won't wake up until it's too late. They'll keep putting things off until the pain of regret is louder than the desire for comfort. They'll waste years, and one day, they'll look in the mirror and not even recognize the person staring back. Not because they changed, but because they never started. You weren't born to scroll through someone else's life. You weren't born to work a job you hate, come home tired, and repeat. You weren't born to exist. You were born to live, to grow, to chase something real, to leave a mark. But you won't do any of that if you keep living like time is unlimited. Let me ask you something harder. How would it feel to waste your entire life? Not a day, not a week, but your whole life. Because that's where you're headed. If you keep pretending that someday will magically fix everything. Someday isn't real. Someday is how people avoid the truth. You want to know the truth. You've been lying to yourself. You've been saying, I don't have time. But you do. You just don't use it. You've been saying, I'm too tired. But that tiredness is the weight of unfulfilled purpose. You've been saying, I don't know what to do. But deep down, you do. You just haven't decided to face it. You think time is your problem? No, bro. Your mindset is. Your fear is. The part of you that's scared to fail. Scared to look stupid. Scared to start at the bottom. That's what's stopping you. Not the clock. You know what's worse than failing? Waking up in 10 years and realizing you never tried. You just kept waiting and waiting until all the best moments of your life passed you by like traffic on the highway, and you never even stepped into the car. Look, I get it. Change is hard. Discipline hurts. Doing something real with your life takes energy, sacrifice, consistency. But do you know what hurts more? Regret. And if you don't change something now, that's what you're going to be left with. You want to keep saying, I'll do it later. Fine. But just remember, one day, there will be no more latest left. And when that day comes, you'll either be proud of who you became or haunted by who you could have been. So this is your moment. Right here, right now. This is the part in the story where you decide if your life keeps drifting or if you take back the wheel. Because deep down, you already know. You are made for more than this. But here's the thing. Pain has a purpose. Sometimes, we need to feel lost before we start searching. Sometimes, rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation where real change begins. And I remember the exact moment it hit me. Not in some dramatic movie scene. Not with lightning crashing or some motivational anthem in the background. No, it was quiet. Still, just me and my own reflection. I looked at myself, really looked, and felt this deep, aching truth rise in my chest. If I don't change something now, I'm going to waste my entire life. I had spent years lying to myself, telling people I was working on it, convincing myself I was just waiting for the right time. But that moment, standing there with the weight of my own excuses choking me, I knew no one was coming to save me. Not my friends, not my family, not some future version of myself that would magically be disciplined and driven. I was the one holding the key to the cage I'd been living in, and I'd been holding it the whole time. The realization didn't come as a burst of motivation. It came as a wave of grief. Grief for the time I'd already lost. The projects I never started. The calls I didn't make. The chances I ignored because I was scared to fail. I thought about the version of me that existed only in my head. The one who got up early, built something meaningful, chased dreams with fire in his chest. And then I thought, what if he's not some imaginary hero? What if he's just me? After I stopped being afraid. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed that night. No music, no distractions, just silence, and a voice inside me whispering, it's not too late, but it will be soon. And that was the shift. Not some grand promise, not a perfect plan, just one decision. I will not live like this anymore. That's where change begins, not in having all the answers, but in being sick of your own excuses. I didn't start waking up at 5 a.m. and crushing goals overnight. That's not how real transformation works. It started with something small. Waking up 10 minutes earlier, writing down 3 things I wanted to do, saying no to the easy path once, then again and again. The wins weren't glamorous, but they were mine. And slowly, brick by brick, I began building a life that actually meant something. People around me didn't notice at first, but inside, I was rewiring everything. I stopped saying I'll try and started saying I will. I stopped surrounding myself with distractions and started surrounding myself with vision. I stopped envying people who were ahead of me and started respecting the grind it took to get there. You know what that's called? Maturity. Ownership. Stepping into the fire. Not because you're fearless, but because you're done running. And here's what I learned in those early days of change. You don't need perfect conditions to start. You just need to be honest. Honest about where you are. Honest about what's holding you back. Honest about the fact that your life isn't going to magically change if you don't start changing it yourself. There were setbacks. Of course. There were mornings I hit snooze, days I slipped into old habits. But the difference now, I noticed. I caught myself. I didn't let one bad day become a bad week, and a bad week become another wasted month. That's progress. That's growth. Not perfection, but momentum. And something strange started happening. The more I committed, the more alive I felt. My mind sharpened. My energy shifted. I walked differently, talked differently, because I was no longer at war with myself. I was aligned. I wasn't waiting for motivation to strike. I was generating it through action. Tiny steps, repeated daily, built a confidence I'd never known before. But here's the real turning point. Not just in my story, but in yours too. You have this moment right now. This second. The choice to say, enough. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to decide that the life you've been settling for is no longer acceptable. You need to believe, even just a little, that there's a version of you on the other side of this choice who is stronger, sharper, and more fulfilled than anything you've felt before. I realized something else in that chapter of my life, something I carry with me to this day. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. When you start keeping promises to yourself, when you stop negotiating with your potential, when you choose the hard thing now so that your future isn't built on regret, everything changes. You don't need a new year. You don't need a Monday. You need this moment, this decision, this fire inside you that says, I've had enough of wasting time. That's the moment when everything begins to shift. That's when the real life begins. Not the one you imagine when you're scrolling, not the one you envy in others, but the one you're capable of building. Brick by brick, step by step, starting now. I wish I could tell you that after that decision, life got easier, that the skies cleared and everything just worked. But that would be a lie. What actually happened? Life got harder. Because when you start showing up for yourself, life tests you. The distractions don't vanish. The old temptations come back louder. The doubts, they scream. But now, I wasn't running. I was fighting. And for the first time in a long time, I was winning. Waking up every day with purpose didn't mean I stopped feeling tired. It meant I finally had a reason worth being tired for. I wasn't drifting anymore. I was building. Choosing growth, even when it was uncomfortable. Choosing discomfort, knowing it was the birthplace of strength. The transformation wasn't loud. It was quiet. Silent victories. Private wins. Moments no one clapped for. But that built the foundation of who I was becoming. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you really are underneath all the fear, the apathy, the scrolling, the self-sabotage. It's about stripping away the layers you built to survive, so you can finally live. There were mornings when I still wanted to quit. But now, there was a voice inside me that pushed back. A voice I'd earned. The voice that whispered, "Keep going. You've come too far to give up now." That's when I knew I'd crossed over. I was no longer motivated by fear of failure. I was driven by respect for myself. And the world started to respond. Not instantly, but slowly, consistently. People noticed the difference. Not because I told them, but because I became it. The confidence, the discipline, the clarity. Doors opened. Opportunities came. Not because I was lucky, but because I was ready. I had built the strength to hold what I once would have dropped. That's the reward of showing up for yourself. You don't just get results. You become the person who can handle them. Let me be clear. The person I am now isn't special. I wasn't born with this fire. I built it. In silence. In struggle. In the moments when no one was watching. And so can you. That's why I'm telling you this. Not to impress you, but to remind you. You're one choice away from a completely different life. It starts with one truth. One decision. One day where you draw the line and say, "I'm done wasting time." And from that day on, you keep showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Because real freedom, it's not in doing what you want. It's in becoming who you were meant to be. And that only happens when you commit. So now I ask you, are you ready to stop running? Ready to stop watching other people live the life you know you're capable of? Because there's a version of you that wakes up with fire, that speaks with purpose, that doesn't beg for motivation, because you are the motivation. That version is waiting on the other side of your excuses. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about choosing progress over comfort, choosing presence over procrastination, choosing to finally live the life that deep down you know is meant for you. You don't need more time. You need to start. Start small. Start messy. Start uncertain. But start. Because time isn't waiting. And every day you hesitate is another day you let go of your power. It's time to reclaim it. To stop watching your life pass by like it's someone else's movie. This is your scene. Your script. Your story. Stop wasting time. Start living your real life. Now.